Welcome, you're with me, Aabha Bakaya, in conversation today with Kamlesh D Patel, known fondly as Daaji, spiritual leader from Telangana and renowned all over India, who's also just recently been conferred the Padma Bhushan, one of the most prestigious awards in our country. A pleasure to meet you, Daaji, and have the opportunity to engage in conversation with you. Let me take you back to where it began, because you never chose this path right in the beginning. I think you were in medicine, or you were, possibly pursuing something else before you actually turned towards heartfulness and towards spiritual practice. Where did you first begin your journey?
I think this journey is a continued journey. There is not a specific time where you begin spiritual journey, because it has always been. Even when we were not so manifested or incarnated, even then there was a search. And it is true for all of us, right? Perception of all of us is like when you start bowing down in front of God, or when you start wearing those orange robes, or, then one starts thinking, oh, he's on a spiritual path. But we all are on spiritual path. But the turning point or the quantum jump in my life began in 1976, while I was a student of pharmacy. And someone, a friend of mine, a really dear friend of mine, he was observing me every day meditating. I didn't know how to meditate, but I thought I was meditating. I would close my eyes, sit silently for a few minutes. And he felt pity on me. He said, what are you doing? You are so restless during your silent moments. I said, why don't you come to this person? She will put you in trance right away.
Wow.
And you will not be as disturbed. So I said, why not? So at that time I was 18 years of age. And so it was fine Sunday, so there was no excuse also. We went to her place and she asked, why do you want to meditate? I said, I want to become like Swami Vivekananda.
And you wanted to do that even at that time?
Yes.
Wow.
Actually, a month before that, I had left my home.
Why was that?
To become like him, Swami Vivekananda. So my journey didn't last more than a day though, see. I went to one temple, Shiva temple on the bank of Narmada. And my house was not too far from there. And I spent whole day there observing Agori Babas, a pack of almost 12 or 15 of them, led by one elderly gentleman. In the evening, I had the courage of approaching him. He said, I've been seeing you here since the morning. Why are you here? I said, can you accept me as your disciple? I'll serve you very well. He said, can I tell you with a lot of love? He told me in Hindi, बहुत प्रेम से बात करता हूँ कि मैं आपको मैंने बड़ी भूल कर दी कि अब मैं घर नहीं जा सकता हूँ, बिकॉज नाउ मैं 80 प्लस और कोई मुझे पहचानेगा भी नहीं. अभी मैं इधर उधर भटकता हूँ ईश्वर की ढूंढ में, लेकिन कहीं मिला नहीं है और कुछ अनुभव भी नहीं हुए. हम अभी जैसे पानी में कुछ बहती चीज़ें, अनकंट्रोल्ड. दैट्स हाउ माई लाइफ इज़. You go back. So because there was so much of compassion and reality in his voice, so I came back home. Nobody missed me at home. See? One day only, 12 hours. And fortunately, I found my guru the same, within a month. And he was a preceptor under this Guruji of Ramchandraji from Shahjahanpur. So I explained to her also the same story I just told. He said, God is not lost, that you have to search.
Ooh, okay.
She blew me away with that. And she says, let's not talk much. Because talking leads us away and we will be wasting time. Let's experience meditation.
Okay.
So she immediately said, close your eyes, and she started transmitting what they call in this system pranahuti, or yogic transmission, which is perceptible by one and all. Even if you have no faith, just as, when you have some nice sweet, do you have to have faith to have admiration of a sweet?
Right, yes.
Like that. This pranahuti works exactly like that. It is so perceptible and it moves you into your own consciousness so much, from your familiar levels of consciousness to something even more panoramic levels of consciousness.
So everyone can experience.
Everyone can experience. In my first session itself, I was within less than 2 minutes, I was lifted up as if I was levitating, but not really. But I felt as if I was lifted up, and there was no body awareness at that time.
Wow.
And I was completely gone. Completely. There was no remnants of my consciousness left.
But do you have to be receptive to this? Like you said, you set out, to search for your guru. You must have had some calling, or you must have, a sense of wanting to find that inner peace. Because other people who are too caught up with, their daily materialistic, needs, desires, or perhaps who are super stressed, I mean, would they still be receptive?
I think so. All are receptive. Some open it up, and some people keep it masked, keep a stone. Like how many times you have heard your heart saying, do this, or Aabha, don't do this, don't do this. Have you heard it all the time?
You're right.
See, so depending upon that calling and how we respond, there is no God telling you come to me.
Sure.
Right? It is your choice. Your calling is yourself.
Okay.
You have to be madly I would say some inquisitiveness would be there. What is there after? We all have questions. Where am I from? Where am I heading? Why am I here? Who created? Right? Who? And what is this interrelationships? We all have this question. Even things like, I would say, you believe, if I ask you, do you believe in God?
Yes. Well, I believe in an energy, a spiritual energy.
And what do you do about it?
I'm not sure I do anything.
So that's what situation with every human being.
Right.
Like they say, oh, if you ask anyone rather, entire public who is watching this,
Right.
Do you believe in God? Yes, sir, I believe in God, sir. What do you think? And if you ask a grandmother, she may perhaps slap you also and say, why don't you think I am a God-loving person? But when you seriously ask a question, Grandma, why do you believe in God? Then her answers would be, our dharma says so, our shastras says so. My mother and father taught me this. Our community believes in this. But what about you, Grandma? What do you say? Have you any experience, any encounter? बेटे अभी तक तो कुछ नहीं हुआ है.
But no one has those answers.
That's
and
what
yet
I'm
we
telling
persist.
you.
Yeah.
That's a game that we are, and this game that we are chasing, will it ever end? It can end with an experience. Right? When you see the sun in the sky, when you see the stars in the sky, do you believe that they are there? They are there. You don't have to believe. Right? When we say, I believe in God, is a very fine substitute of not going further. Because you are contented, happy with the belief. And the story ends there. If you really, really, really believe that He is there, then the search can begin.
Interesting.
Right? Otherwise, it's too superficial. Suppose you say, my beloved is somewhere. And if you really feel my beloved somewhere, won't you look for him? Exactly like that. Belief, simple belief doesn't make that belief into a search. It must become a search, some inquiry, serious inquiry.
A search within.
Search within or wherever. Find someone who can show the way so that you can actualize that belief. Actualization means feeling the presence inside.
Okay.
Right? Experiencing the presence. Then you are graduating from belief. Or the knowledge that God is there. It's an information. Now, once you experience that knowledge and make it your own finding, then your belief, your knowledge will be strengthened. It's like currencies without any backing otherwise. You have
Sure.
belief but no backing.
No backing. But are you supposed to use that knowledge or that experience to do something? There's always a sense that you're either supposed to create impact or maybe be a better person. Is it enough to just be, to have that knowledge?
No, not at all. In fact, it takes you to the next level. Just as a person who is frustrated with belief and wants to realize, right? And he may experience once in a blue, right? But then, though we have experienced it once, it's not enough. Like you visit your rich friend and say, oh wow, I can spend my life, but you can stay there for 3 months perhaps, right? Because you won't feel good about it. And then later on, what do you say? Oh, he's so filthy rich. Or she is so filthy. I wish I was also like that. So you can experience the hospitality of a very wealthy person. But deep inside yourself, you'd say, I wish I was also wealthy.
Sure.
I can experience all those divine encounters, experiences. But it will be wonderful if I become myself divine. And that's where the transformation kicks in, see. And once this transformation begins to resonate, having resonance with divinity, the transformation begins then. And at the pinnacle of it, you get so much, you have heard the term Sat Chit Anand?
Yes.
Okay, that is the pinnacle of such individuals who become divine in one way, because it is almost, I am using the word deliberately almost, but not yet there. Right? You are, and to me, I feel Satchitanand is a trap.
No coming back.
No, not only that. It's not only not coming back, but not going forward also.
Okay.
Because it gives you the false sensation of ultimate joy, ultimate bliss. And you are caught in that, and you will never be able to escape. It's a beautiful trap. Just before you can go further. So, my Guruji used to say, you must renounce this, even Satchitanand, and that is true renunciation, and go beyond that.
What's beyond?
What's beyond that? Where you say, let me put it differently, because in order to explain that beyond, it's quite challenging actually, because to bring that infinite sky into your small little courtyard or in your balcony is very difficult. And even more difficult to even explain.
Okay.
So I'll put it differently. When do we have the ultimate blissful experience? It's like when can you have the infinite credit with the bank?
Right.
It's a question like that. Most people, bankers, they used to go around me and say, Mr. Patel, why don't you take some loan? I say, I don't need it. My manager would get so angry, Mr. Patel, this guy keeps bothering you when you don't need it. I need it and they turn me down all the time.
Actually?
Yes, the managers.
What? How is that?
Because they don't have enough credits. Okay. You need to have a backing to support that, yes, these guys will be able to pay it back.
Right.
So, banks are after people who don't need money. Right?
That's
because
crazy.
Similarly, is the situation with God. Moment you go after, oh, I want God. But you have not prepared yourself with a proper backing, deservingness as we call in our culture. Then it cannot happen. People say, I want to go to heaven. Temptation. But in reality, once you have prepared your hearts, made it so pure and holier, simple, then God has no choice but to decide in your heart. And where there is God, there is heaven, no? So in reality, we do also believe that you don't need to go to heaven. Heaven actually descends in your heart once you have fully prepared yourself. Say. And nature is always welcoming such individuals who really want to transform themselves. Transformation means moving towards utter simplicity and purity in life.
Okay. Okay. No, that's amazing, and it's beautiful how you described it. I'm curious as to how you impart this to your, millions of followers in terms of a practice that they can use in their everyday life. I was just speaking to one of your devotees just as I walked in, and he was saying that what helps is that he can balance some of his daily material needs in his life with the spiritual practice as well. So, something in the way you are imparting this allows people to embrace it without feeling that they have to sacrifice too much, or be able to do it at least in smaller ways and smaller steps that allows them to become a part of it.
You have children?
No.
Okay. Your mommy? Your mother is around?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Would she say, I love you, Aabha, because? There is no because. She will just say, I love you. Such is the relation between mother and children. There is no because.
And I've seen your latest book sitting right here as well, which is all about parenting and principles of life for parents.
So, when we move on in this direction, loving things is primary thing, but we love because.
Okay.
As we move into spirituality, this because cuts down lesser and becomes lesser and lesser, because as we were discussing earlier, experience versus becoming, experiencing love versus becoming love, right? To love, not because, but because you are love. You cannot help but love.
Sure.
Just as a rose has its own natural tendency to emit its own beauty, emit its own fragrance, similarly, a person who has become love, he doesn't love anyone specifically so, but loves one and all without any, And so this quality also slowly creeps into us as we meditate more and more. You begin to love even your materialistic work, like a businessman or a banker or a doctor or even a maid in the house. Practicing this makes you love your work, whatsoever you are doing. And that work can become your true worship actually, because it doesn't matter what you are doing. Since you have become spiritual in one nature, more loving, your heart is always in tune with the higher self. Right? So there is no differentiation between materialistic thing and spiritual thing.
That sounds like a magic formula, and I wonder, because you do so many sessions with corporates and talk to groups about leadership. What happens when someone's feeling stuck, or they feel like they're in a rut? They're not convinced perhaps that the manner in which they're approaching that specific problem at work is the right one. How do you help them to break out of that, to see things in a new way? What if they genuinely are stuck and have to take some drastic measures to get out of that situation?
I'll explain to you this particular problem by giving the worldly example of physical sickness.
Okay.
Right? Let's say you are having COVID. If you had taken vaccine, would you have COVID? Chances of it would be very little, right? So vaccination is better than giving medicine afterward.
Okay.
Because then the chances of survival are even lesser if you leave it to nature. Right? So vaccination is a preferred route. Management diseases, problems associated with management. If we can vaccinate our problems ahead of time, meditative mind foresees the problems before they occur.
Okay.
So you are able to tackle them. Also, you are working in such a way that you are able to not create many problems. You are diffusing before they even occur. Right? Because let's see, if you are making a decision, for example, while I was practicing in pharmacy in New York, and I had to make decision on inventory, for example. What should I stock? What is the most current?
Sure.
Will I be able to promote all these items at a reasonable profit? Believe it or not, most of the answers would pop up during meditation in the passing. Do this, don't do this. And the answers of not doing, okay, don't do this, means you better listen to it. Why of it, if you want to indulge with why of it, that will also give you the answer. So meditative mind sees the red lights first.
Okay. And you're able to connect the dots.
Connect it.
Yeah.
So you are able to, I think 80-90% of the problems you are able to deflect and say, so problem. And when actually the problems do arise and you feel stuck, and which route to escape now, that also can be guided through meditation, because meditative mind sees things, instead of thinking, it's more contemplative, meaning it sees things from 360-degree angle.
Okay.
Right? Also, most problems in management are because there is no mutual respect towards each other in the administration as well as the other. Most people in business world, if you are in certain position, ego runs you.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest problem. In any company, you see this, even with this government, ego. And when you are meditating, your so-called ego is subdued to a large extent. And that also diffuses many problems. So I believe in not creating problems. And then if at all it occurs, then tackling it will become very easy for you. And there are certain problems which you just cannot solve. Okay, I take it as a loss.
There's grace in that. Is there an element of escapism in this?
Not at all. In fact, a person who is so conscious or conscientious about his work can never become escapist. He actually or she assumes more and more responsibilities.
Okay.
Suppose you are in trouble. It's none of my business to share the problems, Oh, Aabha, tell me what's wrong with you. Can I help you? No. But it will automatically come and say, Aabha, you seem to be in trouble. What can I do for you? As a colleague, I will somehow interfere. It's not only you are trying to help, but there is some level of friendliness, affection, compassion in the whole thing, see.
Okay, lovely. Aji, what do you enjoy most in life?
Meditation and teaching people how to move forward, inspiring younger minds.
And you do a lot of that. I've seen, the literature on the thousands and of minds that you've been working with across the country. Tell us a little bit more about that. Tell us about your work with students, with the headquarters, the kind of scale that you've built up to and seen the community grow to.
Well, our work is multifold. Spirituality, of course, because our country has misunderstood concept of spirituality so bad. They some often mix up religion and spirituality, and that also has to be made clear, right? They also think that Samadhi is the ultimate. They also think that the Satchitanand is the ultimate. They also think that the liberation is the highest.
Sure.
None of these are true. So we are trying to open up the real knowledge. And also, we were not so very active. Like earlier my Guruji would not invite Aabha and the gang to have interviews, for example. But I have taken up that route. I invite as many interviews as possible so that the masses can get across. And I learned that few years back, almost 10 years back, when all these gurus or yogis have become udyogis. That boiled my blood actually. Because for every little kriya, they want to charge 500 rupees or 5 lakhs rupees or a trip to some Kailash Sarovar or trip to some Andaman Nicobar island and meditation there. They charge few lakhs.
Yeah.
What for?
Which is what turns a lot of people into skeptics.
What for? Gurus who are supposed to renunciate, I have become the magnets for money. Right? That's why I say yogis becoming udyogis is a tragedy. And I woke up from inside and said, no, we must offer this. And our tradition is this. When we asked our Guruji, he said, what to charge? Why don't you charge something? He says, no, Brahma Vidya cannot be sold. God is not for sale. His beautiful statement, have you heard this one? Oh, it blew you away. It says, God is not for sale. And if God was for sale, how much would you pay? Right? And if you could pay so much, then why do you need God?
Wow.
Right? So he gives a slap to such udyogis. Right? So this is one aspect. The true awareness must come. They should not get lost into or get trapped, so-called honey traps. Right? People say, oh, people can become multi-millionaire just by putting oil in their nabi. You know, one guru is talking nonsense like that. Why put nabi? Rub yourself all over with that oil. You can become multi-billionaire perhaps. Why only millionaire, right? So this blasphemy.
Magic spot there. That's a magic spot for the...
To students until the age of 14, 15, we teach them how to relax. Before the school begins, they should relax. And the school is about to close, they should relax and recapitulate what they have learned, where there is difficulty or ease. They can revisit all those things before they leave the school. We teach them this aspect. And if possible, if the house is nearby or you're going back by car or someone is dropping you off, maintain that quiet and reflect on what you have learned in the school. That really prepares you for the future.
These are very fundamental things that I think if people incorporate into their lives at an early stage, it can hold them in good stead.
Also, I teach children few fundamental things. If I ask you, when you entered this ashram, can you tell me which is east and west? They can't. No one can actually, because but people who are trained, especially in detectives, for example, or the training with the certain police departments, high levels, army people. And now I wish all children, moment they enter any premise, they should know the direction, which side the sun. Even in your own house, do you know which side the sun rises? It's tough for many people today with the high-rise buildings.
Yes.
Likewise, as soon as you get up, you ask child, do you hear any sound? How many birds are chirping? So your awareness now is moving outward also. It's not only going inward, going outward also to feel things. Nice. Right? Which side the moon? So things like that, observation. Inspire them to observe things, and having observed things, how to relate them and bring conclusion into these observations. That's for children, and many things like that. We teach them also how to become more intuitive. We have a special program called Brighter Mind program. They can read with blindfold. They can do so many things with blindfold. They can do archery also with blindfold. And people who are teenagers beyond 15, we teach them meditation. So meditation is all about listening to the voice of your heart and having courage to follow your heart's dictum. We also teach them how to do little things at home. I insist on children cooking, helping mothers, doing dishes, wherever they can. Then I also teach them how to grow vegetables at home, in balcony or on terrace. To farmers, we teach how to double up, triple up their crops, how not to pollute the atmosphere by burning their stocks. Teachers' training is also there, how to deliver real education with joy to children. To college goers, we teach them more about ethics, how to communicate with each other, how to become entrepreneurs.
I was just going to ask you that, because one of the biggest challenges is, even if you are practicing some of this, and like you said, of course, it makes it a lot easier, but very often, and especially when you're younger and you're striving to achieve, I mean, across all ages actually, if you have a purpose in mind and you're not able to rally the people around you, it can be extremely frustrating. So mastering the art of actually being able to deal with different kinds of people is a huge challenge.
That is very easy because we have common goal of spirituality. So it doesn't matter from which background you are coming. And our discussion is mainly around that. But you get inspired to do whatsoever you are doing in your own field. And then we can integrate. Our great emphasis also is on forest development, how to improve the qualities of forest. Today, if you go in any forest in South India especially, you don't see much more than just limited numbers of species, which we like to change with the help of governments. Also, we have taken up a big project actually. Every house, Har Dil, Har Din Dhyan. And we like to teach every member how to meditate.
Okay.
Lots of people have known the word meditation, dhyan, but no one really knows how to meditate. And how to meditate and go deeper in the very first instance itself. That is the specialty of heartfulness, you see.
I'm going to try it out after this interview, because I can't even meditate for 2 minutes. So I'm very curious. But
so you will be a good guinea pig for us.
Yes, clearly. But, I want to come back to something that you said, and, when you talk about bringing people together, the country is right now going through a time where, the government's being accused of being very divisive. And there have been, of course, several instances of that. You've just been awarded the Padma Bhushan yourself. You've been recognized for the kind of work that you're doing. Do you see opportunity for things to change if we are able to spread more peace? How do you see that happening?
Look, there is no magic wand that you wipe it across the map of India and India is at peace.
Yeah.
It cannot happen.
And is it going to get worse?
Global peace is not possible unless and until each individual is at peace. Even in a small household, the entire household is on a rock. If even one person is not well, now we are talking of a country.
Yeah.
Was peace there during Lord Rama's time? He himself was not at peace. Was he at peace? You know Rama and Sita stories, right? Poor lady has to request Mother Earth, Bhumata, to open up so that she can disappear into. What would they call if you do the same thing today? You request Mother Earth, Mother, please open up for me, and you disappear in that. Right? Lord Rama, as a result, towards his old age, decided to walk into Saryu river and took samadhi. What would you call that today? That you walk into the river. Aabha walked into the river.
Right. I'm trying to think of a parallel today. Yeah.
Okay. So, what I'm trying to say is peace. Even the great avatar Purusha had no peace in his life, poor fellow. Same thing with Lord Krishna, we expected so much. But during his time also, he had to ultimately bring about war. And was there peace even after the war? Maybe lesser amount of restlessness.
But you sounded like you didn't agree with, I'm not trying to get political, I can cut that out, but you sounded like you didn't agree with how the government's going about things.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Such matters are not in the hands of government. Government, it's a reflection of general public. Larger mass decides who the government is. Right? If the larger mass is restless, the government fulfills their. And I do fully understand that if BJP is backed by Hinduism, and you automatically think that they are against Muslims, which is a wrong conclusion.
But when you speak about ego, what do you refer to then?
Ego is a very good thing, as well as a bad thing. Just, many people, they think my mind is such an enemy, right? Do you think like that sometimes?
I think for everybody, they call it the monkey brain.
But I call it, there is no better friend than this monkey brain.
Okay.
If you regulate it, it can, steal someone's pocket and give you money also. Right. So if you train your mind well, it can be your best friend. Likewise, your ego. Ego can be your worst enemy because ego has many faces. Would you be, let us say if you're a musician and you had to perform where there are about 10,000 people listening to you. You played one raga yesterday and people gave you a standing ovation and said, great, 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 Aabha did wonderful.
Right.
Today you have to perform. And would you be happy with your yesterday's performance? You would say, oh, I like to do better than yesterday. Right?
Sure.
Right? Is it not ego? But here, your ego here is trying to say, good Aabha, you have to become better.
And when is an example of how it's a bad thing?
Bad thing is when Aabha starts thinking that nobody is better than me playing flute in entire India.
Exactly, yes.
So it has many faces. It depends on you, right? So,
and then what does that mean for the country if somebody feels that there can be no other better option for the country?
That you have to answer, not the leader. Leader will make you ask. Okay. Leader will say, if you find a better leader than me, automatically you're going to vote for the other person. Right? If Rahul Gandhi ji says, I am a better person, then definitely people will resonate. If he's good, people will vote for him.
But here here we're having cases filed against Rahul Gandhi, possibly sending him to jail, which of course he'll appeal.
Let me ask you one thing. Country, parties, etc., they have a greater responsibility when they speak. Right? If an ordinary person, a laborer, curses you with F word, right? I can understand that. But if the Supreme Court judge tells you with F word, okay. Now, if you have to punish the laborer for using F word to you, there will be one level of punishment. But if the Supreme Court judge says that to you, what punishment would you give him? Maybe he can be removed from his position, perhaps.
Right.
And when a person makes such a remark against a country he belongs to as a leader, that my country is doing this, doing that, and it's not just the Congress leader who has been punished with removal after making certain remarks, that all Modis are thieves, like all Aabhas are,
sure.
Will it be a good judgment on a prestigious person who leads a great party?
But at this rate, people are feeling in India that you can't even say anything without being caught.
Not true. I don't think so. I have spoken so much about Rama and Sita, right? For whom they are building such a big temple.
Sure.
Right? I'm questioning this not as a temple, but I'm questioning certain attitudes, certain qualities. Even avatars have to go through all this boga that we all go through in this life. It's not only the Congress leader who has gone through this removal. Earlier, more than 10 BJP leaders have also been removed from such posts after they were charged and proven.
Okay.
So it's not a selective process. We have to be careful when we, through such media, we make remarks of that sort. Then, it becomes really ugly and bad. One has to be really become logical, rational, and fact finder. See.
Who do you feel is going to emerge as potentially a prominent leader going forward? It might be a while away, or maybe not. Is there anybody that you feel, perhaps a younger leader, or anybody else that you feel could perhaps emerge as somebody?
At the moment, no
Everyone
one
looks
is
up to?
coming to my site because I have not paid much attention towards it. Today, at the moment, I'm happy with the work that is being done by him.
Yeah.
And when we analyze, when the people in maybe 100 years later will analyze the progress of our country, starting from 1947 onward, then they will be able to judge it better. Because they will be dispassionate. We are today passionate about, because we have already taken the sides. So there cannot be neutrality in this whole thing.
And by now I'm confused as to which side you're on. But
I'm on no one's side. I'm on the side of who does well. See.
brilliant. Daaji, thank you so much
Thank you, Ma. Thank you.
for fielding all my questions and answering them so candidly. I appreciate it, and I really enjoyed learning about your practice, meditation, heartfulness, and all the good that it can do and is doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Aabha. Thank you.
That's all from us. Thanks so much for watching.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.